Hi, welcome to all of you that are catching the replay right now. It will be probably 3 to 5 minutes before we actually get started with the circle. Just gonna let everybody know that we are live and let everybody catch the notification. And actually, I'm gonna throw it in the chat right now and say hi to everyone. Okay, so feel free to put in the chat how you're feeling if you're just signing on, and I'm going to get this shared out everywhere as well. Hi Lisa, welcome. Hi to everyone that's signing on. Just going to be a few minutes while we share this out to the world here. Hi Christine. My little guy is downstairs screaming, by the way, in a good way. He's discovered his voice this week in the sense that he has mastered the toddler scream. It's really strengthening his lungs right now. We're going to talk about that tonight with the full moon. But he just screams, just out of frustration. He screams when he's excited. He screams when he's I don't know, by himself. It's just a thing right now. So if you hear a little bit of a background of a toddler screaming, that's my Aries child, full of fire. Okay, so we've got everything shared out here. I'm going to get everything gathered up for our circle, and that's where we'll start tonight, building up our circle as usual. And I know so far everyone on here is a Moon Tribe veteran, so you know how we do these circles at this point. But I am curious just to know how you're doing tonight. How are you doing with this full moon energy? How are you doing with the Leo energy? I'm curious to know if there's any Leos on the transmission, or if you have any Leo in your chart, and also if there's any air in your chart, because we have Mercury retrograde coming up in 2 days. So this is aligning with this full moon portal as well. So I'm going to take a deep breath just to ground in and center, and I will just kind of introduce myself for anyone catching the replay. But for now, how about we all just collectively come together and find a comfortable seat? And you don't have to be seated on the ground. You could be in a chair. Maybe you're driving when you listen to this, but wherever you're at, just kind of center yourself in. And if you're able to safely close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. And I just like to always take a moment to drop in, because especially right now, it's the end of the day at the time of this transmission. And so just kind of processing the day and the energy, and this full moon rising also bringing in a lot of energy. So it's good to just kind of find our center and find our stillness. So I really encourage you to do that now. Start to drop in to your physical body. Really connect to gravity, connect to the earth, connect to whatever sensations you feel beneath your body. And see if you can take a deep breath in through your nose out through your mouth. Really sink your body into that exhale and get soft, relaxed. Let's do that again. Eyes are closed. Deep breath in through the nose. Really strong exhale, open mouth. Letting it all go again, shaking out any stress. And you can go ahead and blink your eyes open. And this time I'm going to inhale, sweep my arms up and overhead. And open mouth exhale with a little bit of sound, matching that vibrant energy around us and shaking anything out. So welcome to our moon circle honoring the full moon in Leo. And for those that may be new to me or catching the replay, my name is Vina Lene, also known as Rachel, and Vina just means channeler of the divine. And this is the spiritual name that was given to me about 3 years ago in India, and I have really started to morph that into my brand as well. And Vina Lene really stands for, a path of self-healing, and all of the healing that I've done, and I've sought out external help and guidance from others and gurus and whatnot, it still always comes from within. And Vina meaning channeler of the divine, and knowing that we're all truly channelers of the divine. And even whatever message I bring to you here right now, is I always feel called to bring through messages around the moon, and that everybody that's on this transmission is going to hear that message a different way, and there's going to be bits and pieces of that message that apply to them and other pieces that aren't relevant. And so, I just encourage you to tune into this transmission and be open to whatever it has to offer you right now, and then also anything that comes through in your own spaces of silence during our time together or anytime after this as well. And with that, I will also start to build our circle with the 5 elements. So I always bring in the 5 elements into our transmissions that we share here in the digital space, and you can certainly build your own moon circle at home, or if this is something maybe you want to do on your own, you can start to learn, what kinds of elements work with different moons depending on the energy that we're bringing in. So I'm going to start with the earth element, and with that I'm bringing in the beautiful stone of carnelian. And I recently picked up this carnelian stone, I would say probably 4 to 6 months ago. I think it was really close to Leo season when I purchased this, and you can see that it's totally different on one side versus the other. It's this beautiful red, blood red stone, and it does associate with our heart and our heart chakras, as well as our blood and our circulation. And I have a smaller version of this carnelian as well, so this is just a simple touchstone. And again, it's a little bit different depending on the angle of how you're looking at it, but you can also see that deep red coming out as well. And I'm just going to brighten up my screen here just so that we can see a little bit better. There we go. So we've got that deep red stone through carnelian, and that's the energy that I'm bringing into this circle tonight. Now, if you don't have carnelian in your stone collection, that's certainly okay. The energy of this crystal is here with us now, and we're sharing it through the ether. So I'm just going to place this stone right here next to our tech that we're using to transmit with. And I'm also bringing in a second earth element of Palo Santo. So I always bring in some sort of smudging stick or smudging bundle, sage, depending on what I'm doing. But today I felt called to use this Palo Santo. This is what is here and available and on my altar right now. And so I'm going to combine this earth element with the element of fire. And when we combine these 2 elements, we start to bring in the element of wind or smoke. You might be able to start to see that coming off now. And I always like to smudge at the beginning of these transmissions. Now, when I don't do moon circles, I just smudge before I go online or before I record. But when we're sharing these live spaces, I really like to take a moment to smudge the space and cleanse the air and just kind of cleanse the energy. So I'm smudging myself just to kind of release anything that's stuck, get rid of any, energy that doesn't serve right now. Same for the space that I'm sitting in. This is my home office right now. And I'm also going to send this smoke, out to you. You can start to receive that through the ether as well. And this also cleanses the tech that we're using to share and the ether element as well. So everything's a pure positive space, so that these messages I mentioned just earlier, that they come through, you know, fully and purely, and there's no distractions pulling those messages away from you or the things that you need to hear. So we'll just continue to let that sage, or I'm sorry, that smudge smoke continue to burn out. And I'm also going to bring in the element of water now. Tonight I'm using an essential oil. I'm using peppermint oil. This is a super basic essential oil most of us have if you're a typical oil user, but if not, it's a really affordable oil that you can find. I just suggest that you find a 100% pure oil. For me, I used doTERRA because I know that they use certified pure therapeutic grade oils. But you can use any pure oil as long as it's proven to be pure, because you don't want to get any toxins into this space, right? Especially like you just cleanse the space. So you want to make sure that the things that you're bringing in are really high vibration. So peppermint oil is the oil of the buoyant heart. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the transmission, but we're bringing a lot of focus around heart energy tonight. So we've got this carnelian stone for heart energy. You know, we've got the fire to bring, you know, the extra light in under this full moon, which is fully lit up right now and on fire. And then we're using this peppermint oil to help with our heart center emotionally. I also really like peppermint oil because it's great for the throat chakra. We're going to be using our throat chakras tonight, and our throat chakras are really starting to become impacted right now with the cosmic shift of Mercury retrograde starting to happen. Kind of in the pre-shadow phase of that. Mercury goes into retrograde on the 30th. So it's a time to really honor our throat chakras and honor our heart space, and maybe take a little pause for those spaces to enhance them with breath. And so the heart and the breath are associated with each other. It's the element of air. So peppermint oil is good to inhale right now. And I love just breathing in peppermint oil anyway. Especially in the winter time, we really are attracted to these colder, crispier scents anyway. It helps us align with the energies in the outer world. So if you're in North America, it's usually cold right now. So you can bring kind of this cold sensation internally, and it makes you feel, you know, more acclimated to the energies that are going on right now. So I'm just going to take another breath of that. If you have peppermint oil at home, feel free to breathe that in. Nourish your throat chakra. And then speaking of water, I am going to get just a quick drink of water here as well. I encourage you to stay really hydrated right now. Full moons are a time when our water energies are impacted. It's also a time of deep release of those waters, aka our emotions. So when we drink a lot of water, it moves our energy through, and we move a lot of our emotional waters through as well. So I'm just going to grab a quick drink. And I already mentioned the fifth element, and that is the element of the ether, which is this, you know, space that we are communicating through. And the beautiful thing about the ether is it withstands space and time. And so if you're tuning into this replay, these energies are just as strong now. All of the work that we do together and all of the energy that we bring together and cultivate together in this transmission, even if you're tuning into it in the future, you're still going to receive that and have some sort of impact upon your own energetic space. So I welcome you, no matter whether you're tuning in live or you're tuning into the replay. And with this, our circle is officially sealed, and maybe we'll just take one more deep breath together to bring all of this energy collectively in. So let's sweep the arms overhead like the full moon above. Inhale. Any type of exhale that serves you. Shake out the stress. Shake out the energy. So let me know in the chat if you are live, how are you feeling with this Leo energy? How are you feeling with this full moon? How do you feel with this full moon compared to the last one? I know that this full moon for me feels a lot different. I have a lot more energy. I'm a lot more upbeat with this full moon. You know, the full moon was in Cancer last time, which is a time of deep release. And it's a time that really impacts me emotionally as well. It brings up a lot of mother wounds. But Leo energy, I am a Leo rising, and so I really feel like I'm kind of in my element, in my vibe right now. Leo is the sign of the entertainer, and while I don't exactly, see this as entertainment, it's more of an influence situation. This is where I really thrive. I love coming on these transmissions and sharing these circles, and I'm so glad we're finding a space where we can all collectively come together again. I really, I'm not a fan of using Facebook, but for this specific task of coming together for the full moon virtually or the new moons virtually, it's really working out. So I'm really embracing this ability for me to let my own authentic expression roar and vibrate my throat chakra, and to have you all hold space for that. So thank you, for continuing to be here and share this space with me. Leo energy is all about the heart, which I mentioned already, but it's about more than just the heart space on like a love level. We're getting ready to move into February. It's the month of love. We start to think about Valentine's Day, but this is more about self-love. And this is a time, we're towards the end of the month right now. This is a time when, we are starting to fall off maybe some of those goals, habits, intentions that we set with the new year, any New Year's resolutions. It's a time when it might be difficult to make change when we want to. And also, again, we find ourselves at the, end of a new month, the beginning of a new month, but at the halfway point of a lunar cycle, which is not so supportive of new beginnings right now. We should wait until the new moon in 2 weeks, right? With Lunar New Year, which is a big time for manifesting. Super excited about that. But right now, it's about really honoring ourselves and giving ourselves credit where credit is due. So not looking back at all of the things that we could get down about, all of the things that, we could hold shame about or disappointment, right? Instead, we're holding space for the things that we've achieved. We're holding space for the things that happened out of the things that didn't happen. And we're really finding kind of this love of life, this zest of life, because that's what Leo energy is all about. Leos, if you know a Leo or if you are a Leo, Leos just love to love. They are just like everything is awesome all the time. Like that everything is awesome song. They probably love that song. Leos are big energy. They're excited. They're lions. They like to roar. They like to play and romp and have fun. And there's a bit of a childlike energy with them as well. So this is the energy that's coming up right now. And it's a reminder for us to relax and let go and release all of the, I've talked about this before, the ego bullshit, right? The, oh, I'll be happier when this thing happens, or, oh, like I should have done that thing and then I'd be more on track here. We want to always look in hindsight, right? That hindsight is 2020. Truly at this point, right? It's no longer an expression. And as we look at 2020, as we look at our past and we start to have hindsight, we need to really find love for what we've been through. We have to find love for our past because it's brought us into the present on where we are right now. So with this full moon, this time of release, let yourself illuminate all of the beautiful, wonderful, awesome things that have come out of all of the shifts and changes that you have collectively gone through. And even if it's only been in this year, in this first month, in January of 2021, all of the things that have happened versus all of the things that haven't. Start to reflect on that instead. So Lisa says she's feeling good, so much better than the last full moon. Yes. And Christine says she feels like putting the last few months to action. Yes, I feel the same way. I'm feeling this collective energy to move forward, and that's that heart energy of Leo and also the fire energy that Leo brings. So Leo season is at kind of the end of summer. It's kind of in that late July, August time, during the dog days of summer. We think about Sirius, the dog star. We start to think about Egypt, the Sphinx. There's a lot of this like cat energy coming through right now. Even in Vedic astrology right now, we're associated with a bit of a what they call a yoga, or a union in the sky that represents lion energy. So we're being called to set ourselves on fire for the things that we're really excited about, and set ourselves on fire for the changes that we want to make, right? So we can look back on our past. We can look at all of the things that didn't happen. We can look at all of the things that, you know, we might be holding that space of regret around, right? And instead of reflecting on it in that state of disappointment, we can take those things as fuel for our fire. We can start to really turn ourselves on for the life we do want to have, for the life we want to create, for the way that we want to show up to ourselves and to each other, and to this, you know, future dream that we have every single day, starting right now. So full moons, right? They're a time of high energy. And I talked about this in class the other day at the studio. I think a lot of times we talk about the full moon in more of a negative highlight. We think about how the full moons make us crazy and anxious and wiry and restless, or, you know, people get injured more on the full moons and things like that. But really, full moons are a time of heightened prana, and prana is life force energy. It is that zest of life. So we're fired up right now. We're excited. We're ready to move forward. And honestly, again, sorry if you have children around, because I'm going to say something here, but we're tired of the bullshit, right? Like, we're tired of being stuck in the same bullshit in our lives and in the collective over and over again. And we can start to see it in the passion that's rising amongst everyone. You know, we're not going to take it anymore. We're set on fire for the changes that we're ready to make. And remember that that fire is so transformative. When something is burned, it cannot be the same as it was before. So as we start to really catch fire amongst ourselves and make these great changes, you know, nothing's ever going to be the same. Of course, we're going to have a new normal. It's gotta be that way. So stop clinging to the past, stop clinging to the old ways that don't serve, and get excited about what's to come, because your life can never evolve. It can never transform if you don't open up that space and open up that door for the unknown. We can't plan everything, right? This is Leo energy with this full moon. Leos are a little messy. Leos are spontaneous. Leos are always excited for the zest of life, right? And this is where we need to be right now. This full moon is a reminder for us to be excited about the unknown, awesome things that are to come, and to hold that positive vibration around it, to be excited about it. Stop dreading the future. If you dread the future, you're going to have a future that you're going to dread. So switch your perspective, right? Get on fire for the life that you could create if all possibilities were open. And they are. So I hope that this is making sense to you so far. I want to talk just a little bit about full moons in general, because I've mentioned a lot of this fire energy. And if you're new to working with the full moon, you know, fire energy is always a great element to bring into your ritual or your ceremony or any other way that you're honoring this portal of time. So if you look outside, you see the full moon, it's all lit up. And the reason that it looks that way is because the moon is over here, okay? I'm the earthly body, I'm Earth. Here's the moon. We've got the sun over here. The sun is shining on the moon, and the moon is lit up, and that's why we see it. So we're bringing in fire element, we're bringing in the energy of the sun, and we're really seeing that fire in its fullest expression by the light that shines down on us both day and night right now. This fire is representative, first off, of solar plexus energy. I mentioned that this is a time of heightened prana. When we really bring in the prana, the life force energy, into our human bodies, we take deep belly breaths. Go ahead and take one right now. Suck in that life force energy, deep belly breath. Feel the breath expand, and then as you soften the belly, create more space for that breath. But energetically, this is where our solar plexus resides, and this is our internal sun. And this is a place where we have the drive to show up to our habits, our rituals, the things that we enjoy. This is the place where we hold positivity. This is the place where we hold excitement, joy, bliss. And of course, we want those energies to be enhanced. So right now, the full moon is asking you to pay attention to that energy, to use this heightened prana, this time where you're feeling a little energetic, a little excited, a little restless, a little anxious, to move the energy around towards things that you enjoy. Sing, dance, shake it out, spend time with your friends. Party, dance under the full moon, howl at the full moon, whatever you need to do. And if you're in a lower frequency, it's okay. That's normal because we are deep in our emotions. We're deep in the water energy just because the full moon affects our waters. And so if you're feeling not so good, if you're feeling down right now, do some things to make you happy. The full moon is giving you permission to do that. It's saying, hey, focus on your belly, focus on your solar plexus, focus on prana. Make yourself feel good right now. The other way that we are affected by this full moon energy in the fire sense is that it's a time of deep release. So fire is transformative, right? We can use it to burn away what no longer serves. And one of the best ways that you can really align with the full moon, and one of the most popular ways to have a full moon ceremony, is to do a burning ceremony. So you can always make a list. You can write down everything that's standing in your way right now of your joy. You can write down everything that's standing in your way of you reaching your goals or showing up to those habits that you want to make every day. You can write down everything that's standing in the way of your dreams. You could write down everything that's standing in the way of you being able to hold that positive mindset about the future and about the unknown. But whatever you do, you write it all down because it's stuff that you are ready to release. You are ready to get rid of. And then practicing safe fire practices, you burn that list. So maybe you have a bonfire outside and you throw the list in the fire, or maybe you just have a receptacle of water, or your sink, or my favorite, the toilet, because you get to flush it down, flush that shit away, right? But burn that list because it's never going to be the same. You can't put that list back together. You can't see those things that you wrote down, and that's a visual representation. That's a spell, my witches and wizards, to cast, to let go, to release. Those things are no longer there. You cannot see them. You wrote them down. You let them go. Be gone with them and hold space for what's to come, even if you don't know what it is. So feel free to practice that tonight after this time together. Take time to burn away a list of what you're ready to release right now. That's a great way to align with full moon energy, and especially because the fire energy is so strong right now with Leo influencing things. So every time we have a full moon, it's in a different sign. Every time we have a new moon, it's in a different sign. So we always have those generic feelings with the full moon, but then each zodiac sign kind of influences things in a different way. Lisa mentioned that she feels a lot different with this full moon than the last full moon. Well, the last full moon I mentioned was in Cancer. That's a water sign. We were deep in our emotions. I certainly was. It was the anniversary of me going through my pregnancy loss. I lost a pregnancy under the full moon in Cancer about 3 years ago. And those things can bring up a lot of emotions. It's mother wound stuff as well, which is really deep because Cancer is the sign of the mother, the womb, and the child. So if anything came up around that stuff last full moon, if you found yourself crying a lot, releasing a lot of water emotions, that was perfectly aligned with what was going on with the cosmos. Now, right now, we're in Leo energy. Christine says she's feeling excited. She wants to like start taking action, right? We're excited. We're set on fire. We have that fire influence now. And we might be feeling the need to let things go. That's also the feeling of fire. So I'm going to take a drink of water, and then I'm going to make a quick shift over to the Vedic side of things, because the Vedic side of things also has a great influence on what's going on right now. And I just like to bring in that information into our full moon circle. And then from there, I'll also talk about the tarot cards that I pulled tonight. So I'm not an expert in Vedic astrology by any means. I mentioned that I was in India 3 years ago. It really started to spark my interest in Vedic astrology, and since then I've just been kind of tuning into it moon to moon and with different cosmic shifts that have happened as well. In the Vedic astrology, this moon is in the Pushya Nakshatra, and this is a lunar mansion or constellation of stars. And Pushya is represented by the star of nourishment. It's known as like the udder of the cow, okay? Could be known as the breast of the mother. You could look at it this way. And in the Vedic side of things, astrology is a little different. It's shifted just slightly. This moon actually is in Cancer. So there's more of a mother influence. However, we can still bring this energy into the moon that we're experiencing right now with this Leo energy. Pushya Nakshatra is also ruled by the Hindu deity that is the guru of all gurus. Now, this is relative to how I introduced myself tonight, because it was a little bit different. I talked about my name and where I received that, and how I want you all to have your own inner guidance on self-healing, because that's the journey that I've been through to get to where I am. I'm still on a path of healing. New things are coming up all the time. This is a constant journey. It's a lifetime journey. Healing isn't linear. But I bring all this up because I also mentioned that although I've had all these other teachers, all these other masters, all these other guides along the way, both in the physical world and in the metaphysical spaces, the ether, I still always find the answers within myself. I still always have that self-realization that brings it all back together. So the guru of all gurus is yourself, sisters and brothers. And Pushya Nakshatra is reminding us that when we focus on the self, when we become the guru, when we become both the student and teacher ourselves, when we start to trust those internal dialogues that we have, those conversations we have with our inner psyche, our inner conscious, our inner spirit, whatever you want to call it, when we start to trust that and learn from it and find the wisdom in it, we start to become the guru. And yes, you will still need other gurus in your life to nourish that ability to tap in and self-heal. I was just down in the Ozarks 2 weeks ago, seeing who I would consider one of my personal shamans at this point. I've had this beautiful connection with this Native American red road walking shaman in the Ozarks, and I went and saw her 2 weeks ago because I was feeling drained and I was feeling the need to seek out my own guru to understand some things going on in my life. So I've had a lot of realizations and I have a lot of self-healing I've done, but sometimes I need that external source. And that's not the only one I've reached out to. I've recently reached out to a friend who's a therapist, and I've asked if maybe they want to do some trading where I do some private yoga sessions and private meditation sessions in exchange for a little bit of talk therapy, because I just need to kind of talk things out. So the guru is all around us. The guru is who we seek out. The guru is who comes to us. And the guru is inside ourselves. And the guru is our heart. And that's what I'm getting at right now. So this heart energy of Leo, it shines within these inner knowings, these inner teachings, this wisdom that we find within our heart, the truest of our truths, our inner knowings, our inner guru. And that's also shining through right now. And it's interesting because the Pushya Nakshatra is actually found in a cluster in space known as the Beehive Cluster. So when you think about the beehive, we have the queen bee, we have all the worker bees around. Whatever happens to the queen bee happens to the rest of the hive. When the queen bee moves, the rest of the hive moves. There is a lesson in this. It is time to be sovereign to ourselves first. And this seems so selfish, especially for the human condition, and especially after, the societal conditioning that we've lived through over these past 13, 14, 15 months or so, really focusing on the collective, on others, on the, protecting others and preventing the spread of this disease or this virus. But the thing is, whatever happens to us happens to everyone else, right? So when we work on ourselves, when we take charge of our health and our immunity, and we start to support ourselves, we influence others around us to do the same, because others see us not getting sick. Others see us not living in fear. Others see us looking great, feeling great, acting great. And they want to do the same because that energy is contagious. When you start to focus on yourself, when you start to do that inner shadow work, the hard stuff, the stuff we don't want to face, the traumas, the wounds, the deep-seated emotions that we have locked away, when we shine light on those, when we work through those, when we start to heal from the inside out, people see that on the outside. People take notice of that. People start to ask what's going on with you. Maybe you share your stories. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just share a little snippet of what you're doing. But that stuff is contagious, and other people start to see those changes in you, especially people that have known you for a long time, that start to see a shift in you. They're going to want to know what's going on. So focus on yourself. Stop worrying about the world. It's all going to work out. It really is. But we have to hold ourselves accountable for ourselves in our frequency, and whether we're going to live our life in a positive mindset, in an abundant mindset or not. Are we going to limit ourselves or not? It's really up to us first, and then it moves out to the rest of the hive, the community. This is what's shining through this Vedic influence right now, this Pushya Nakshatra. So the star of nourishment. Nourish yourself. Take care of yourself. Do the things that make you happy. Do the things that make you feel stable. Do the things that bring you peace. This morning, my son, I mentioned, he's in a screaming phase. It's not even like he just screams for fun. I'm an empath. Loud noises are a lot for me. A lot. And my empath energy, my, ability to hold space for the world right now is just, the container is really full. And, it's been a struggle for me. So for example, this morning with this full moon influence of Pushya Nakshatra, star of nourishment, Leo influence, taking care of myself first, I went to my studio for like 3 hours and just worked and wrote and got my e-newsletter out and did a little meditation and just kind of took some time for myself. And I was able to come back much more centered and had a really good day here, even with my son screaming back and forth. I've had a lot of patience, and we've had a good day overall. Now, if I had not taken that time for myself, I probably would have started to reach my edge, started to get agitated, started to get that full moon, like anxious, like on edge energy. Probably would have lashed out in a way that I shouldn't have. Probably would have regretted it. Probably would have not had a great day. Probably would have showed up to this transmission in a much different frequency than I'm at. Do you get it? Energy's contagious. So this is the other message that's coming through with this full moon, is that, sometimes we have to put ourselves first. Sometimes we have to put ourselves on the pedestal. Sometimes we have to prioritize ourselves first. It's not selfish. It's actually one of the most unselfish things that you could ever do, is focusing on yourself. Now, every zodiac sign has a shadow side, and I'm going to transition back to the Western world now, the tropical zodiac. Every sign has a shadow side, right? So this Leo energy, the light side is the love, the excitement, the everything is awesome, the spontaneity, the trust, the bravery, the courage, the self-sovereignty. It's all beautiful Leo energy. And the shadow side is beautiful too, but it brings in a different world. And the shadow side of Leo energy is the ego. It's that alpha lion. And it's a little bit of the patriarchy. It's just a little bit of the too much masculine, the too much of the power and control and ruling over. And this is where we have to walk that fine, delicate line of learning to live through our heart and not too much through our solar plexus. Remember, these energies are really activated right now with this heightened prana. As we breathe, our breath passes through both these spaces. So the ego can be really strong with Leo energy, and that's actually a really positive thing. That's why Leos are so strong and courageous and brave, because they really don't give a shit. They don't care what others think. They have the lion energy and not the sheep energy. But there's also this, calling right now that's being illuminated. There's this calling to pull back the reins a little bit. So you can put yourself first without putting yourself too much first, right? Remembering that the things that you're putting yourself first for are for the greater good of the people. And if you start to really bring that theme into how you live your life, you'll never have that flip over of the imbalance into the shadow side of the ego of Leo energy. If you're a Leo yourself, though, you're going to struggle with this. It's just part of the shadow side that you were born with in your solar sign, your solar plexus. Another shadow side of Leo is Leo energy is a little messy. Leos are kind of all over the place. I mentioned the spontaneous energy. It's a beautiful thing, and it's good to not have so much structure, but just understand that mess is mess. So right now there's a lot of mess going on. The world's a little messy right now. The world's a little confusing. There's still a lot of mixed messages moving through, and this full moon in Leo is reminding us that this is kind of how we're going to navigate the rest of this lunar cycle, right? Like the full moon kind of brings in that theme. We're going to Mercury retrograde in a couple of days. If you don't know much about Mercury retrograde, I encourage you to get on my e-news list. I'm sending out a Mercury retrograde survival checklist, or if you follow me on social media, I'll probably share that in a couple of days, where you can download that checklist and prepare. But Mercury is the planet of communication. It goes into retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. It lasts 3 weeks. And when that happens, communication feels a little backwards. Our throat chakras start to become affected. Our throat chakras are responsible for our overall wellness and also our thyroid. So our hormones and our hormonal balances might get thrown off right now, and also our immunity. It's really important to focus on the immunity right now, and focus on the throat chakra, and focus on those practices to show up to yourself every day that make yourself feel good, including the things that make you well and support your immunity. Mercury retrograde is a time when we can have buyer's remorse. You don't want to make big purchases. It's a time when tech can go crazy. This is our main form of communication these days, this ether that we share. So you could have issues with your phone, with your internet, with your computer, smart TVs, smart cars, anything that's techie, you could have issues with. Travel could be challenging, especially logistics around flying, around ships, around trains. Driving, not so much. Just know to be patient. You could deal with things just like traffic and missed signals, or GPS could affect you if you use GPS to drive. So just know that you probably want to know where you're going if you're traveling by car, or just have a lot of patience. And Mercury retrograde can also make us not really fully communicate ourselves or express ourselves or live to our truest authenticity. So it's not a good time to go into contracts or business ventures with others. It's not a good time to start new projects if you're not fully committed and fully in that energy already. It's a time to really take a sacred pause and focus on yourself. And that's what the Leo energy is preparing us to do right now. And I could go on and on about Mercury retrograde, but I'll probably write about that. And I might do a special transmission when we do our our new moon transmission on February 11th for Lunar New Year. I might talk more about it then. But for now, I think that we will shift. We're going to do a little bit of pranayama, breath work. And then I'm going to talk about the tarot reading that I pulled for this moon. I'm going to get a drink of water. Please let me know if you have any questions. I've seen a couple of people hop on in the transmission. So if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to put on the chat, feel free to put that in there now. And I'm going to talk about this lion's breath that we're going to do. So lion's breath in Sanskrit, this is known as Simhasana Pranayama. Lion's breath is a really beautiful way to enhance and vibrate our throat chakras. You know, lion energy, Leo energy is about expressing ourselves, letting ourselves roar out, living to our truest authenticity. And that's also where the energy lies in the throat chakra. It's about our authentic expression. So it's a really great time to vibrate this space right now. And lion's breath can help you do that. Lion's breath is also good for the thyroid, for our immune system, for our overall wellness and hormonal balance. It helps to push prana and breath into the heart space and into the solar plexus, really igniting those fires in the energy centers that lie there. And it helps you to build up confidence and strength and empowerment. It also helps you to release frustrations. And I mentioned this in class the other night at my studio. We practiced lion's breath, and I said, you know, during these times of muffled and mumbled and confusing communication, Mercury retrograde is a time of that. Let your vibrations of frustration move through your throat chakra and work the energy through in a positive way that supports you. Do a little lion's breath to release your frustrations. So however this pranayama practice serves you, I invite you to be open to the benefits. And I also invite you that if you practice this and it does not serve you, it makes you feel off or awkward, that you just not practice it. We're only going to do a few rounds. We're going to do 4 rounds. And the way that we do lion's breath, there's a couple of different ways to do it, but the main part is you inhale through the nose, and when you exhale through the mouth, you stick out your tongue and you kind of purr or growl the back of your throat. It's kind of like all kinds of sounds will come out of that. You can also look up or into the back of your head as you exhale. Really let your lion out, stretch your throat chakra. It also stretches all the way down through your heart and down into your belly. It creates more room for this breath channel. And the final piece, if you really want to move into it, is you bring your lion's paws into it. So I'm just going to bring this down for a moment to my legs here. I'm on a bolster, but you could come to the ground or you could do this on your legs, but you do turn your wrists around the other way. Now, if you can't move your wrists all the way around, you could just bring them out, or you could just rest your lion's paws on your legs. So I like to bring this either to the ground or to my body. Today I'm going to bring it to my body. It is easier to move it to the ground, but just for the sake of this transmission, I'm going to keep it up here. Let that card go by. So we're going to do this together whenever you're ready. Place your hands, your lion's paws, however you like. For the first one, I'm just going to bring my hands forward. Excuse me, I had to move some breath through. We're going to take an inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale, stick out your tongue. And notice how that draws your shoulders back, opens your heart. Really gets you prideful. It makes you feel that way. We're going to do it again. Feel free to add in any other variations. I'm going to bring my lion's paws really into it now. Deep breath in. Out. Just take a moment. We're going to do 2 more. Inhale, out, one more. Inhale, exhale. You can just take a moment to soak that in. So notice that this stretches through the wrists where your pulse points are. That heart energy moves all the way through your upper body. That's why we get the arms involved and the wrists involved. We vibrate through the heart. We vibrate through the throat there. And you could do that as many times as you want. Like I said, we just did it 4 times, but you could do this for a solid 3 to 5 minutes. If you were really feeling it, you could just do it a few times to release some frustration. So I invite you to use that Simhasana Pranayama anytime that you need. So now that my throat chakra is good and vibrated, I am going to take one more breath just to drop in again, and we're going to go over the tarot card reading that I pulled for this full moon in Leo. And feel free to put in the chat how you feel after that lion's breath, that breathwork practice. I'm just curious to know how that made you feel as well. Just taking a moment to call upon these cards and the messages that they need to bring through right now. Asking that we all be open to whatever message or interpretation we need to hear, whether it be through my own voice or through an inner voice or guidance that you hear on your own. I trust that these cards were pulled in this order to give these messages in alignment with the full moon and the energy that we're bringing in tonight. So I always pull 3 cards, or usually pull 3 cards, and I'm starting with the past card tonight. And our past card is the 3 of Wands. And 3, you know, being really the sign of the feminine, this life, death, rebirth, and the 3 of Wands specifically representing new beginnings. And this is certainly what we went through in 2020 and what we've gone through in our past. We've been restructuring into a new normal and a new beginning, and we've been making a great shift from the patriarchy to the matriarchy. We're, you know, really learning to live more less out of our ego and more out of our heart. And if you look at this 3 of Wands card, we've got this green square right at the center, and you know the heart is green. Our heart chakra is green, so this is a reminder that, you know, these new beginnings, this growth, these new green seeds and green plants that are growing up into this new future right now, it's a positive thing, and it's all for the collective love of the greater good. You know, wands are a sign of magic. They're a sign of alchemy. We're being reminded that we've been going through a great change, a great shift. And also during this past, we've really been discovering our own magic. We've been discovering new gifts within ourselves. We've been discovering new ways that we're maybe attracted to different energies of the world. We've been really kind of learning about this law of attraction and this ability to co-create our reality, right? And I think that the 3 of Wands is really showing up right now at this full moon to remind us again to take note of the past and all of the beauty that's come out of it. You know, heart energy is about gratitude, so we need to hold gratitude for our past. We need to hold gratitude for the shift. We need to hold gratitude for the death and the rebirth, the life, this life cycle that we've gone through really at this pivotal time in the world, this pivotal time on this planet. You know, we're a part of that right now. And so we need to find gratitude for that. And when we hold that gratitude, when we hold those seeds of showing thanks for everything that we've been through, you know, it brings about the magic for us to continue to create that life that we are joyful for and thankful for. You know, this card is also yellow. Yellow is the solar plexus. It's that sun, that joy, that zest, that bliss for life. So, sisters and brothers, I encourage you to really use this full moon to shine light on all that we've been through, and anything that's showing up in a negative light, shift your perspective, shift your groove, shift the way you view it, and find what you can be grateful for instead. Moving on to our present card. For the present card tonight, I pulled the Queen of Pentacles. And I pulled this card not too long ago as well, but I really love this because she reminds me of the lioness. She just looks like the lioness to me. She's got this crown, this beautiful cape. She's holding this, pentacle in the palm of her hand. She's holding this gift in the palm of her hand. And we're being reminded right now that this present moment is the gift. This shift that we're going through, it is the gift. All of these changes, this restructuring of the new normal, it is a present. And so we must behold it in that way. The Queen of Pentacles, the card itself represents loyalty, really remaining true in ourself and the things that we, believe in. She holds on to her own gifts, her own magic. She doesn't question it. And others don't question it either because she's so authentically expressing herself with that lioness Leo energy that people just know that that's who she is. In my own life, when I moved here to this little corner in Southeast Iowa 6 years ago, and I had the chance to have a new beginning, I told myself that I wasn't going to buffer myself or filter myself or hide a version of myself that wasn't comfortable in the way that I taught, in the way that I reached out to people. And I've always been about the moon. I've always been about astrology. I've always been about these woo-woo ways, and I've gone deeper and deeper into it as time has gone on, and there's just been no question. That's just who I am. And it's just funny, even sometimes when I'm around town, people that don't really know me will be like, hey, you're like that moon yoga lady. And I'm like, yeah, I am. That's owning it, right? So this Queen of Pentacles brings about that energy right now. We talk about, really shining light on ourselves and really honoring ourselves right now and kind of giving ourselves credit where credit's due, but learning to filter it through the heart, like learning to find the ways that we love ourselves unconditionally, the things that we really get excited about ourselves about, if that makes sense. And the Queen of Pentacles is reminding us to look at that now. This full moon in Leo is shining down on that right now. So really look at yourself and get excited about yourself. Pump yourself up with all of the, awesomeness that you are, all of awesomeness, I can't even say it, but the things that you've gone through, right, that have made you who you are. Because deep within it, we can hold regret for our past, or we can hold disappointment, we can cling to our traumas, or we can use it to fuel our fires, to really live out our truest self. And I think that that's what the Queen of Pentacles is asking us to do in particular right now. Now, for the future card, I pulled the 8 of Swords, and I don't think I've pulled this card at all in our transmissions, at least not in the past year. 8 is the sign of infinity, and what's really coming through with me right now with this card is kind of that energy of what goes around comes back around, right? The 8, the infinity, it's balance, positive, negative, and just understand that, every action that we have has a reaction. It's that collective beehive, queen bee energy, right? We just talked about that with the Pushya Nakshatra of this moon, but it's about knowing that energy is contagious and knowing that what goes around comes back around. What we focus on within ourselves will come back around in our external world, and vice versa. What we put out into the external world will come back into our internal world. It is a collective symbiotic relationship. Now we have to take into account the swords. Swords are a representation of cutting cords, cutting ties, slaying what no longer serves, we are in a time of restructuring. And specifically right now, if you're in North America, we just had a new president, take office, and we are undoing, cutting cords, cutting ties around of the things that were set forth in motion with the previous powers to be, right? So we're making this great shift, and we're taking these swords and we're cutting away a lot of those things that were tied up, or a lot of those new knots that we had tied to kind of form these new bonds. Swords themselves also represent changes within ourselves. So this is a time when we need to release, right? Full moons are a time of release. We need to be releasing what doesn't serve. We look at the pink around this card. Pink is also the color of the heart chakra. The heart chakra is unique. It has two colors, pink and green. So we're again being reminded to cut away what no longer serves our pure joy, our love of life, our passions, being a little selfish there, the things that turn us on. If it's not turning us on, let's let go of it. And then the square here that's red, that does represent a little bit of root chakra, which is our past. We have to let go of our past in order to move forward. We can't cling to it. It ties us down, right? It's an anchor into some way that no longer serves us. So let's cut that tie, let's cut that rope, let's break that bondage and set ourselves free so we can rise up into this new earth, this new world, this new frequency. The Eight of Wands in particular, the card itself represents kind of a fall from ego. I don't think I have to say anything else. I'm not getting political here. We're not going to go into that because to be honest, I have very 50-50 mixed views on politics right now. I really do. I wouldn't align with one party or another right now if you asked me to choose. I feel very stuck in the middle, undecisive, and unable to align with any of it. But with that, I will say that this Eight of Swords is representing a fall of ego. I think we're certainly seeing that happen on the collective now, especially in politics, policy, and government, especially in how we rule. It's also been a little bit of ego death that we've been going through personally. This past year has been a huge ego death. We have had to let go of expectations. We've had to let go of a lot of the things that we thought we deserved. We had to let go of a lot of the ways that we defined ourselves because we could no longer show up to those roles or to those layers of ourselves, to those masks, no pun intended. We couldn't put those types of masks on anymore. So this Eight of Swords is reminding us that the fall of the ego death is a good thing. The fall of the ego death makes space for our heart energy. The fall of the ego death helps us let go of our earthly, human root ways, right? These earthly egoic ways, and it helps us vibrate into a more positive state of the collective. I'm not sure what I was trying to say there. The Eight of Swords reminds us that if we are feeling as if we are struggling right now, we need to ask for help. If we are feeling confused, lost, misunderstood, we need to ask for help. I mentioned the Pushya Nakshatra representing the guru's guru, right? The guru's guru being both within ourselves and knowing the wisdom to know when we need to seek help outside of ourselves, because they're both one and the same. When we seek out a guru, it's our energy reflecting back to us like a mirror. So this Eight of Swords is reminding us that sometimes we do need to ask for help. Sometimes we do need to seek out somebody else to help guide us along the way. And when we do that, it does assist us in the ease of that ego death. It's kind of a double-edged sword, and it helps us in two ways instead of just one. So, our past, Three of Wands, life, death, rebirth, a time of new beginnings, a time of new growth, a time to rediscover our joy and our magic, and to trust in it as we move forward, creating a new reality. Our present card, the Queen of Pentacles, reminding us that this present time is a gift. Stop living in regret and disappointment. Let go of expectations. Find the gold in the right now. And live your life with this lioness energy. Live out of your truest, most authentic expression. When you do that, there will be no question to who you are. You will no longer have to lead a double-edged life. You will no longer have to wear the mask. Take the mask off. Live your authentic life. Let your lion voice roar. And you will rule this life with abundance and joy and bliss and ease. And for our future, the Eight of Swords, let's let go of the past. Let's let go of what doesn't serve. Let's let go of old generational ways that don't serve. Let's let go of past traumas that we're clinging to. Let's stop being a victim of our past and learn to own it as fuel for our future. Let it be a story that makes you stronger. Don't let it be something that drowns you in the sorrows of your emotions. The Eight of Swords reminds you that what goes around comes around. Work on yourself first. Love yourself first. Prioritize yourself first, and it will shift to the collective around you as well. Christine says lion's breath. Release. Yes. Release with those lion's breaths. Great practice for releasing frustration. Great practice for nourishing your throat chakra and helping you to express that truest authentic expression that the universe is practically drilling into our head right now. So let me know if you have any questions, tribe. We went a little over on our time, but we're coming up on this hour. And if we don't have any questions, any comments, anything we want to discuss or talk about, I will seal us with a few final breaths. But I'm going to grab a drink of water and give it just a second if anybody wants to put anything through. I want to talk about a few things, by the way, just real quick before we seal as well. So our next lunar transmission will be with the new moon in Aquarius. That is going to be on Lunar New Year. I'm so excited. Lunar New Year is technically February 12th, but we're kicking things off with that new moon on the 11th. So it's Thursday, February 11th, same time, 7:45 Central Time. We're going to gather up here on Facebook for a virtual new moon circle honoring Aquarius energy. It'll be an entirely different energy from where we're at now, just on a different level. And then I also wanted to mention just really briefly that my signature manifestation program, Conscious Creatress, this is for women only. This program is open now for enrollment through Valentine's Day. So if you're looking for a really beautiful way to love on yourself and give yourself something that you deserve, put your shift towards creating your new reality in this new earth, because now is the time. And this is why I'm opening up enrollment. We're going to start with the Lunar New Year, and we're going to work for 4 months together in this container, in this online program. It's all there for you. You go at your own pace, but there is an ability for you to check in with an online community with other sisters that have already done the work or sisters that are doing the work right now. I do the program again whenever I launch it and enroll new sisters. I also do the program myself because, like I said, new layers of healing are always coming up. But this container, this program is open for enrollment right now. Enrollment closes February 14th. We start the work with the lunar new year with the new moon in Aquarius, and you work with my program for 4 months, creating the life of your dreams, creating some of these goals that you've always wanted to work on. And we do it all with the cycles of the moon. So it's really organic and really authentic to that, kind of divine feminine energy that we work with as women when we're working to consciously create whatever we're trying to bring through. Now, there's also a premium enrollment for that. If you want to actually personally work with me one-on-one, I do check in with the community, with the forum online, with the group if anybody has any questions. But if you want to work with me personally as you work through this program, I do have several spots available for premium enrollment. What does that mean? Well, that means that you get 2 private sessions with me each lunar cycle. You get a soul coaching session with me. We just meet for an hour. We chat, we talk, we bring up anything that you're going through, any guidance that I can give you along the way, any questions you have about the program. And then you also get a 1-hour Reiki energy session and an oracle card reading with me. It's all kind of done in the 1-hour transmission, but you get one of those each month at any time of your choosing, whenever you just need a little bit of extra guidance or clearing on your path to this creative process. So if this is, something that's really calling to you right now, I do encourage you to look into it. You can go to my website, vinalene.com. You click on my offerings. It's right there. You can read all about it. I also sent off a little blip about it in the e-newsletter today, but I will not open this up again until summertime. So you have from now until February 14th to sign up for Conscious Creatress. And if you don't sign up by then, enrollment will close until this summer. So I encourage you, if you are ready to go deeper on this manifestation journey, if you want to learn some real life tools and techniques, things that I have used in my own journey to create myself to where I am right now, literally holding a business where I go online and talk to you about the moon every 2 weeks, something I dreamed about 6 years ago, among many other things I'm doing with my life. If you want that sort of future, if you see that life, I highly encourage you to look into this program. It's got a lot of work. I really have talking about heart energy. I have poured my heart and soul into that program, literally created that program with my child at my breast, one hand on the computer last year during the midst of a pandemic about to happen, not knowing that was what's going to happen in the process. It was a crazy year, but I'm so excited that I have this program available now. So as my little sales pitch, I wasn't planning on doing that, but I just want to let you know that enrollment is open for that. There is a monthly payment option to help it become more affordable for you. If you do want to pay in full, you do save a little bit of money that way as well. Yes, there is a monthly payment option for the premium enrollment as well. So if you want to work with me personally, one-on-one, you get my time, whether it's live or if you're not close, we do it distantly, you get that option as well. Okay, letting my throat chakra vibrate out from there. I just want to say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying a little longer with me tonight. Thanks for collectively bringing in your lion-hearted energy into this transmission. I look forward to hearing how your full moon goes. Feel free to comment on this video after. Feel free to drop me a message if you need anything after as well. And have fun with your fire burning ceremonies. If you're doing that tonight, have fun however you honor this full moon in Leo. We've got a lot of prana right now to bring in a lot of bliss and excitement around this lunar energy and this lunar portal of change. So with that, I think that we will all take our 3 deep breaths together to seal our circle. I'm going to sweep my arms overhead. Inhale and join me if you like. Open mouth, exhale. Sending you so many blessings with this Leo full moon. May your hearts and your souls be on fire for a life you truly love. May you live to your authentic expression at all times. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, sisters and brothers, for joining. I look forward to seeing you February 11th with our new moon circle in Aquarius. Blessed be. Namaste.